It is not a cancer. It is not witchcraft. It is not that one has HIV/AIDS. It is not contagious. Does not spread through close contact, touching or sharing personal items. No way is it linked to being burnt by twins. It is called vitiligo.
Hello, my name is Sophie Matovu. Thank you for joining us on UBC TV, where we are here to inspire and to educate you and to teach you lots of things that you possibly didn't know about. Today, I picked specific interest in a condition that many of us have misunderstood. Many of us have said lots of things about it. We have called it witchcraft. We have called it bad luck. We have called it an omen. We have specifically in Buganda region said abalongo babo cha. And the condition is none other than vitiligo. I'm down in Mulago Hospital at the skin clinic, where I'm going to be talking to a dermatologist, and then that is none other than Dr. Musinguzi Patrick, who is going to tell us more about this condition. It's high time. We'd better get educated about it. Join me in this first episode where we demystify this condition.
My name is Patrick Musinguzi Rwahwire. I'm a consultant physician and dermatologist. I happen to head this skin and the STD unit, which falls in the Department of Internal Medicine of Mulago National Referral Hospital. This STD unit seems to have been the mother of the whole Mulago Hospital. When the missionaries, the Albert Cook, came in Uganda, and they set up a health facility in Mengo, and it is said that there were a lot of STDs, and one of them being syphilis, and another unit to treat these STDs was set right here. And I think that sets off the whole Mulago Hospital as it is. We think this is a mother of the whole Mulago Hospital. First of all, the skin clinic is a super specialized clinic. Ideally, we see referral patients. These are patients who must have been seen in other facilities, health facilities, and in Mulago, we see patients who are referred from our assessment center. So we see specifically conditions which require to see skin specialists. And therefore, we run our skin clinic for a whole week, Monday to Friday, with a special dedication to children because they form a good number of our patients, and we give them, we run a pediatric clinic, which is the skin clinic, on Wednesdays. If you came as an adult on Wednesday, except when you have leprosy, we combine skin clinic and see those other patients with leprosy because there are very few on that day. Otherwise, the rest are adult patients. Going back to your specific question, I don't have the exact figures, but in children, we see a lot of allergies, what we call eczemas of the skin, some infections like fungal infection being one of the most common infections, then few bacterial infections, and in adults is a mixture. We don't see a lot of skin infections in adults, but of late we have started seeing parasitic infestations like scabies in adults. It may be it it may not be many, but they come as if it is an epidemic. We see some of them, but by and large, we see autoimmune diseases like psoriasis, a few eczemas in adults, and commonly we are seeing also drug reactions in adults. Vitiligo, in a layman's language, is when a patient presents with loss of his or her part of his body has lost color. And commonly, this skin condition presents with lightening of that part of the skin. So vitiligo is a condition where a patient will come with lightening of a skin patch. From the science, theories about causes of vitiligo tell us that vitiligo is an autoimmune disease or autoimmune condition. What is autoimmune? Autoimmune is from the first principles. We human beings, or maybe also animals, we have a system which protects us from getting infection. That is an immune system, which is always at work, on the lookout for any intruders, like infections, like what. So that immune system produces antibodies. Antibodies, which we would literally say, when we're talking to a layman, we say, you have soldiers or guards who guard your body from getting infection. But due to unknown reasons, these guards sometimes work out of the norm, and they start identifying parts of the body, and specifically parts of the building blocks of the skin as if they were foreign. Remember, the work of those antibodies are to fight off foreigners who are coming into the body system. So these proteins in the skin, which are identified as foreigners, are those proteins or cells which are called melanocytes, responsible for producing the color or the pigment or the chemical which gives us our color, and that pigment is called melanin. When those cells are attacked by the would-be guards of the body, the antibodies, which we call autoantibodies, auto because they are being produced by the host and they're turning against the host. So those autoantibodies destroy the melanocytes, the cells which are responsible for producing the melanin, responsible for giving us our color. And therefore, where in that area where the antibodies have destroyed the melanocytes, that area will remain light. They will lose their pigmentation or their color, and you get the vitiligo. From the scientific point of view, if a condition, if the cause is from yourself, if it is you are destroying yourself, it may not be possible for us to say we are curing, we are treating to cure. But we have seen patients who have repigmented after the interventions. And we have seen patients who have actually progressed and gone almost the whole body becoming light-skinned, as if he's a Mzungu, and others actually remaining like that and accepting the condition. The answer to this is some recover, and there is in science. Literature says that even if you recover, there is a chance there are chances that these patients may actually get a recurrence of the same. That's why we are talking about it with authority or confidence. We treat vitiligo. Generally, we have which may affect a one segment of the body, and that segment and that type would be called segmental vitiligo. There are those which will actually cover the whole, almost 80 or 90% or 90% of the body, and you call it universal vitiligo. Just like we don't know why the body produces antibodies which are supposed to protect it, now turns against them. We don't know why the antibodies attack certain parts of the body. You will not say you are going to get vitiligo on the hands, lips, or the face. So we can't tell why others get on the fingers, others get on the lips, others get on the eyes. But we normally, what we know, that if you get vitiligo affecting the fingers, the lips, the response is not as you would expect other parts of the body where you have hair. To the ones which have hair respond a little bit better than these other parts where there's no hair. Reason being that we think that this hair root, which is within beneath the skin, perhaps remains with some those cells we talked about, the melanocytes, in shock, whereby when we intervene, those cells are rejuvenated and they start producing the melanin again and replicating to cover the area around that skin, around the hair, and eventually become repigmented again. So the areas where we don't have hair, like the fingers, like the lips, the response is a little bit unsatisfactory. Much as the condition itself, the response may not be guaranteed that you're going to get better, you're going to get what. We see that these ones, in terms of response, are really bad responders. First of all, our dermatological diagnosis largely depend on the clinical. We depend on what we see and what we examine and find out. Worldwide, we use clinical diagnosis. We use laboratory tests in rare and few cases where we are not sure, where we want to rule out other conditions. But by and large, we use our eyes and hands to diagnose skin conditions, including vitiligo. So as we talked before, that the cause is from ourselves. You will not determine which antibody is going to run bazaar and start knocking off the normal skin, the normal melanocytes. So you can't do a prior test and say Patrick is about to get vitiligo, so we intervene. Nothing. So there are no tests, and there is no prior intervention to prevent vitiligo. Management, first of all, vitiligo, if you are coming from the African culture or Ugandan culture, different tribes have different myths, but the men I have interacted with seem to have, especially the Bantu, seem to have the same myth as to what causes vitiligo. The public out there know that vitiligo is actually some kind of either curse or to be specific, that whoever gets vitiligo must, or at one point, annoyed twins. And these twins have now given this either punishment or whatever. So if a patient has that, and majority of them actually believe that there is that bad omen or whatever which has happened to him or her. So in management, the most important thing is to counsel or health educate the patient on the possible, what you think scientifically, what causes, in simplistic terms, what could have happened to him or her. When the patient really reflects and thinks that could be true, because what helps us, the patient, possibly to accept our view, is that many patients in their families don't have twins. So they always have that question in their minds, that if they are twins and they must be in your clan or whatever, and they don't have twins even in the distant relatives, how could this person have got vitiligo if there are no other causes? So when you get such a patient, it is easier for them to accept our approach and explanation. Once the patient accepts and understands the cause of vitiligo, that it is the body which actually turns against its host. We always give them examples that, you have had people being given bodyguards to guard them, and eventually, due to unknown reasons, the bodyguard turns against the master and kills or harms them. So that is exactly what happens to these soldiers, the antibodies, turning against the parts of the body, and you get such kind of thing. And we give them other diseases or conditions which actually are or are caused by that mechanism. And then when they accept that, then it is easier for us to say, we are going to try to control these antibodies, the soldiers who have gone astray, to come back to order. In so doing, there are areas where these melanocytes, the cells which are supposed to produce this pigment, which have gone in shock. We give them example that if you get a bomb around the Kampala Road, or some people will definitely die. Others will go in shock, and at one point they will come back to their normal senses, and they go and do their duties. So that is what we tell them, and we tell them that the medicines we are going to employ and other interventions are actually aiming at controlling what has gone wrong with these antibodies. And if they come to order, and there are some melanocytes, those cells which produce the pigment, which are still in shock, they will be rejuvenated, then start dividing and start working as they are, and they cover up the area which could have been become light. And indeed, some people have come back with their areas repigmented again. Treatment, as we said, if you cannot remove the cause, you will not guarantee cure. Secondly, we said that even if you repigmented, the literature says that there are some patients who actually will get the attack again and get the patches again. So when you recover, you may remain there, but we advise them that if you get the condition again, you come back. Unfortunately, we don't know whether those ones who have recovered fully have not repigmented. And me and you, our people's health-seeking behavior and the culture and the myths are associated with the condition, and the people around you would influence how you would manage this condition. If you are not improving, you will get all sorts of advice, including those who don't have any basis. I advise you to seek alternative approach, which may or may not be correct. And by bad or good luck, if it was time for your repigmentation and you go to the complementary medicine and you get repigmented, you'll be one of the people who will be referring the patients of that nature to that wonder doctor or whatever. So we don't have the record that these ones have not repigmented, but we have seen people who have come back with positive results, and those who are actually have not responded, and others who have progressed to really bad condition. Fortunately, majority of these patients don't have a very big areas which are really which have lost their pigment. So depending on the area affected, depending on the size, the counseling package will depend on the size of the lesion and where it is. If you have it at the back, you have put on your dress, why would you put on a sunscreen? It will not work. So it would be on individual basis. The management depends on who has the condition and where and to what extent. So the package would be individual basis. The final message is, you see, science sometimes is difficult to accept in many societies, especially if the society is still a little bit behind. But the scientific explanation of vitiligo is what I have just mentioned, that the body turns against itself, and the reason is unknown up to now. So vitiligo is not caused by any bad omen or twins. The vitiligo is like any other conditions which are caused by our immune system working outside their norm. The other conditions like diabetes, like diseases of the thyroid, which are actually caused by more or less the same mechanism, and they are not associated with twins. Thank you for coming.
Need I say more? I don't think I have to, because the doctor has clearly spelled it out for you in black and white. Please, there is no need for us to get afraid and think that vitiligo is contagious, and think that maybe if somebody touches me, I'm also going to get it. Think that it is hereditary. He has said it all. And in other episodes, we are going to be talking to persons themselves who are living with vitiligo, and we shall get to hear the stories. We are going to discover and take you through a lot more, because we need to stop stigmatizing them. It is not their fault, and it's not by choice that they opted to have this condition. Keep watching UBC, and catch you next time.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
You have undoubtedly, in one way or the other, crossed paths with the Uganda Revenue Authority, URA, as a government organization, or at least seen its name. Are you aware of who they are, what they do, how they go about doing it, and what obligations they have to you, or even of your obligations to the URA? It is time for each one of us to get on the same page. Our panelists from URA, John R. Musinguzi, Commissioner General, Abel Kagumire, Commissioner Customs, Robert Mutebi, Commissioner IT and Innovation, and Sarah M. Chelangat, Commissioner Domestic Taxes, Mr. Issa Sechito, Country Representative of Gabriel Registra, an international ISO certifying company, will be joining us to shed a light on URA's mandate, challenges, and plans. Tune in this Monday, May 1st, 2023 to UBC TV at 10 p.m. featuring representatives from the Uganda Revenue Authority with the topic URA, the mandate, challenges and plans. Join the conversation online via hashtag SpotlightUG.
UBC, inspiring Uganda. Up next on UBC, brought to you by
Airtel. Download Airtel TV to watch and support Ugandan talent on The Voice Africa every Sunday at 8 p.m.
It is Monday, the first day of May 2023. Hello there and welcome from me, Rukidi Edward Kijanangoma, to News Tonight here on UBC TV. First though, let's have a look at our top stories. Corruption Unit for Investor Operations. Persons living with disabilities using pupils to smuggle goods at Busia border. A widely anticipated spring counter-offensive in Ukraine will push on without American fighter jets. And in sports, 276 players from several schools participate in the Decode Inter-Schools Chess Championship. Hello there and welcome once again. We are coming to you live online on air from Broadcast House here on Nile Avenue. Now, President Yoweri Museveni has warned political and civil servants